अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। क्या हाल है आप सबका? आई होप यू आर ऑल डूइंग वेल जी। आज हमारा टॉपिक है स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्म। ठीक है जी। तो बहुत ही सिंपल तरीन टॉपिक है। ठीक है जी। बस आपने कुछ चीज़ें याद करनी है, वो याद अगर कर लें आप तो यू शुड बी गुड टू गो। ये एक ऐसा कोई यूनिक टॉपिक नहीं है इन द सेंस कि ये ऑन इट्स ओन नहीं आता। इट्स लाइक अलजेब्रा। ये और बाकी टॉपिक्स के अंदर इंटीग्रेट होता है। ये और टॉपिक्स में आपको यूज़ होते हुए नज़र आएगा। सिर्फ इसका अलग टॉपिक नहीं है, ये इसके अलग अलग टॉपिक्स मौजूद, मतलब इसके बाकी टॉपिक्स के अंदर सारे यूसेस हैं। ठीक है जी। तो लेट्स लुक एट द सबसे बेस फॉर्म ऑफ स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्म। बेसिकली व्हाट स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्म इज वी टर्न a big number into, we write a big number in it in a neater form, right? So for example, let's say you have a number and that number is 78,474,801। let's say ये number है आपके पास, it's a big number, right? To save time and space, we write either bigger numbers या on the contrary जो हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे very small numbers, we write those numbers as standard form, right? तो इधर मैं एक चीज़ लिखता हूँ, there we go. So a small number, an extremely small number या a big number को neat form में लिखने के लिए we use standard form. Now what does that look like? हम देखते हैं ज़रा। This is basically the formula for standard form, a multiplied by 10 raised to the power b, right? तो अगर हम देखें पिछली एग्जांपल के साथ, right? ये देखें, let's open this example now। इसमें a क्या होता है, b क्या होता है, तो हमने कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट सीखने हैं। let's say क्वेश्चन कहता है कि भैया turn this into standard form, right? हम कहेंगे नो प्रॉब्लम। सो व्हाट इज a and what is b? तो मल्टीप्लाई बाय 10 है फिक्स्ड, a और b ये वेरिएबल्स हैं, ये चेंज होंगे डिपेंडिंग ऑन व्हाट योर नंबर इज। सो अभी हम सिनेरियो कर रहे हैं बड़े नंबर का, अ बिग नंबर, वी आर यूजिंग दैट एग्जांपल, राइट? तो हमारे पास है 78 मिलियन एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा। इसमें a क्या होगा? a सबसे पहले आपने कॉन्सेप्ट समझना है कि एवरी होल नंबर, even though the definition says it has no decimal point, every number has a decimal point, and that decimal point is found at the end of a number। तो उसके आगे बेसिक आप जितने मर्जी जीरो डालें तो उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता। इट डजंट मैटर हाउ मेनी जीरोस यू पुट इन फ्रंट, बट एवरी नंबर हैज अ डेसिमल पॉइंट एट द एंड ऑफ at its end, right? So इसमें concept ये है कि a, if you want to find out a, what you do is you look at where your decimal point is, right? And you move one by one through each digit all the way to in front of the very first digit. So in this case the first digit is 7, so you want the decimal point to move to in front of 7, right? But we can't just randomly do it, we need to count how many digits they are. But first what a will be 7, a will be 7.85, what, right? If I write this whole thing, that's the same thing, right? So what I'll do is I'll just instead of writing 7.8474801, what I did is 7.8 and then I've rounded this up, right? So 4 becomes 5 and we've got this, right? Now multiply by 10, that's fixed, so we got multiply by 10. Now what is b? b is the number of digits you move. So in this scenario we moved 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7, so b is 7. That's basically all there is. So let me recap. मैं एक दफ़ा दोबारा बोलता हूँ, let me recap, right? So this is the fixed formula for standard point, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's a big number or small number, right? So to find out a, you move the decimal point wherever it is. If it's a whole number, it's at the end of the number. So for example, if it was, let's say 78 million and there was a decimal point somewhere here, then you would just move that decimal point. I'll do another example right after this. But since there wasn't a decimal place, in every whole number there's a decimal place at the very end, right over here. So you move that all the way to in front of the first digit, and while you're moving it, just count how many digits it moves up or down in the other case, but in this case it's up. So we counted 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and so our B is 7, and what is our A? Our A is just our new number. Our new number is A. So in this case 7.8, and then all of those, but I just rounded this up so that it becomes neater, because if I wrote this whole thing again, that actually destroys the point of standard form. It becomes even a bigger number. So this is a neater version. It in a lot of cases it's not necessarily a smaller way. It's not a way you can make a number smaller, but it's definitely a neater way, because this looks way more neater than this, right? I think we can all agree on that. Okay, what if what if we have a number that already has a decimal place in it? So let's look at that scenario, right? Okay, it's not necessary. So in this example I'll show you, it's not necessarily about making a number smaller. It's more so about making it look neater, right? And standard form is usually written at the end of the answer, as an answer, right? It's unlikely it's used unless the question itself gives you a number in standard form. In your calculators, whatever you're using, you shouldn't use a standard form. You should use it as an expanded form, right? अगर आपको दिया हो 6 multiplied by 10 raised to power 3, so you use 6,000, right? You don't put into your calculator. That takes too much time in its own case, and it gets confusing sometimes, and it can cause problems anyway, right? So let's say we had a number 67,403.708. Let's say this is our number. Right? So what's our first step? We need to locate a decimal point. Is there a decimal point on this number? We've got one right here, correct? So what we do is, now that we've located this decimal point, we move it. How many steps? We need to find A, so we move it all the way from where it is right now to in front of 6. We need it right here. Okay, how many? 1, we got 2, we got 3, we got 4. So we know B is 4 because it moved 4 steps. And what is our new number? We are left with 6.74, because we don't need to write those, right? 2 or less. It's better to write it as 2 significant figures, but just for the sake of writing it, I'm writing it actually let's just write as 2 significant figures. It'll make things easier to understand. 6.7 multiplied by 10, this is fixed, raised to power B, and B is the number of steps you take, and that is 4. So that is the way you write this as standard form, right? So आप एक चीज़ अगर note करें, if you look at something, you can actually solve this. So what happens if we solve this? Okay, so what happens? So our answer was 6.7 multiplied by 10 raised to power 4. What happens if we expand this? Because this is something that's being multiplied, so we can actually solve this. So what happens? 6.7 multiplied by this, basically 6.7 multiplied by 10,000, right? Because because 10 raised to power 4 is 10,000. So if we solve this, we are left with 67,000, and our thing was 67,403, I believe. If we check, it was 67,403. So what it basically does is it also automatically rounds up your number to however many significant figures you take your standard form in. So in this case we took 2 significant figures, so it automatically rounded up our original number to 2 significant figures. So this is negligible in a sense, right? But this is why it's usually written as an answer, because sometimes this matters. Let's say you're solving a question, right? Let's say you're solving a question, and and you're multiplying this, dividing this by something, this can be the difference between a wrong answer or a right answer. That's why if you write this instead, this can have different answers. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So this is used to represent an answer majority of the times, until or unless the question itself gives you the numbers or the values in standard form. Try and or actually do just keep the standard form for your answers. Don't use them any other scenario, right? So now that we've done this, okay, so let's clear the page, right? Let's look at another scenario. What if, so we've discussed that a multiplied by 10 raised to the power b, this is our formula, right? But what if we have a really small number, because that can be a big number to write as well. So let's look at 0.00000047. So this is a very small number. Again, it's got a lot of digits to write. So if let's say this is your answer, this is not a very good looking answer, right? If I put a 1, 3, 8, this is, and these kind of answers become very common, right? So how do we write this as standard form? Because we got a decimal, but we can't go back, because that will just make it smaller. So in this scenario, what we do is, right, our A is the same concept, but this time we just go a different direction. So we go from this point to in front. In this scenario, the decimal goes from where it is right now, in front of the 0, all the way to in front of the first non-zero digit. So in this case, we look all zeros, and then 4 is the first non-zero digit. So what we do is we write a decimal point over there, right? That's pretty good. So it goes all the way from here to there, right? So now what we do is we say, okay, let's count how many spaces it moves. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it moves 6 spaces, right? So we've got B, which is 6, right? That's automatic. Now what is A? A is what the number we're left with now, which is 4.7138. I'm just going to ignore that, because the whole point is to write it in a neater form, right? I can write it 4.7138, but then again it's just way too big. So what I'll do is I'll just ignore this side. So I'll just write this, right? And multiply by 10, which is a fixed thing, raised to the power b, which we've calculated as 6. So this, if you notice, if you expand this, we get a bigger number. So when you convert a smaller number, a number that is less than 1, into standard form, the digit, what is it called, the power is always negative. So whatever value of b you have to convert it into negative, right? This basically becomes 4.7 multiplied by, if you've seen the indices video, or if you know indices yourself, you'll know the negative basically means it needs to go down, and when it goes down it becomes positive. So we've got this, and if you expand this, it becomes 6 zeros, and then if you divide all that, you get this. So it's a cycle. It just leads to each other, but it's just a neater way of writing this. You think for yourself, which one is a neater way of writing an answer? This monstrosity or this guy? I vote for this guy, you know. So that's it. That's the whole chapter of standard form. Now it's a bit different in application, because you have to practice a little bit. So I would recommend that, and it's not very difficult. It's a very, very simple chapter. Just just do a little practice. There's a very good application called Rove Papers. Let me write that down somewhere. Papers. This is a very good application in terms of past paper practice. Let me see if I have it. I don't have it. I have it on my phone, but if you open it, it gives you a very good yearly past papers, but you can find those anywhere. It also gives you very good topical past paper sessions in the sense that it allows you to pick and choose which chapters you want to revise. So let's say you go there and you click topical past papers, O levels topical past papers, and then you go to maths, right? And then you click the topic you want, and then you press create paper, and it will give you and you can specify which years you want as well. It's a very good application, and you can get all of the questions on standard form in those number of years that you want, or in just however many they are. It's a very good application. So I would highly recommend that if you're going to revise past papers, do it on this application, right? So I would recommend you start topical past paper practice on the chapters that inshallah you'll be watching these videos on. So we've done indices, we've done standard form, right? Inshallah in the next chapter we'll be doing algebraic manipulation, but that's another video. So I hope this was educational. Inshallah I'll do another video on standard form in which I will do some questions. I will open up a row of papers and show you how to use it as well, and I will do some topical past papers. I'll do about 5 or 6 questions. They're different kind of questions, so you guys understand how to solve those kind of questions. But basically, the things I've taught you, they're all they are. Okay, inshallah, I hope you understand, and inshallah see you in the next video.